How would this administration define what makes a Democrat agency, which agencies, and what constitutes being a Democrat agency?
I think this administration has been very clear, Kelly, that we're not going to tolerate waste, fraud, and abuse in our government. And we've also been very clear to point out when agencies or when programs do not align with this administration's values of putting our country first. You've seen that with USAID and in various other cases where there's been cuts made or funding has been slashed. And so, again, unfortunately, we're having to do a massive review of the bureaucracy to be good stewards of the American taxpayer dollar. And it's the Democrats who have forced the White House and the president into this position by voting to shut the government down.
You've talked about thousands likely layoffs coming. Do you have an update on the timeline for that? How quickly, and if the government is restored to funding and back in operation, will that list of potential layoffs still be on the table?
Look, as I just stated, the Office of Management and Budget is in constant communication and contact right now with our cabinet secretaries and agencies across the board to identify, unfortunately, where layoffs have to be made and where cuts have to happen. But again, the Democrats have an opportunity to prevent this if they vote to reopen the government. That is all this administration and the president is asking for. Vote for a clean, continuing resolution to keep the government open. Peter.
Thank you, Caroline. During the campaign...
Thank you, Peter.
I was raised to say thank you in the White House briefing room. During the campaign, President Trump said that he did not know anything about Project 2025. Now he knows about it. Is that the blueprint for shrinking the government?
Look, the blueprint is what the president and his team and his cabinet secretaries ultimately decide. And the president trusts his cabinet secretaries to identify where there is waste, fraud, and abuse. We pointed out this morning, or Russ Vogt tweeted about this morning, a Chicago rail project that was canceled. We paused $2.1 billion in Chicago infrastructure projects, specifically the Red Line extension and the red and purple modernization projects. And it's because the administration is concerned that the Biden administration was handing out taxpayer dollars to pay for this construction based on DEI. DOT is reviewing the race-based contracting on unconstitutional grounds, and in the meantime, the Department of Transportation funds for these projects are on hold. So I guess this answers both of your questions. This would be an example of that.
And just because there's so much shutdown talk, something different. What do you guys think about the NFL's decision to name Bad Bunny as the Super Bowl halftime performer, somebody who has not scheduled shows in the U.S. because he says that he's worried that ICE is going to come and arrest his fans?
Well, look, I know there are many in this room who are very anxious to hear the president's response to Bad Bunny being the halftime show, so I won't get ahead of him. I won't reveal what he feels about this. Next time you all ask him a question, you're welcome to do that. I have my own feelings on that, but that's not what I'm up here to talk about. As far as ICE being at the Super Bowl, as far as I'm aware, there's no tangible plan for that in store right now. However, of course, this administration is always going to arrest and deport illegal immigrants when we find them. If they are criminals, we're going to do the right thing by our country.